Radio, 365 Sports. Grayson Grunhafer, Sigum 365, joins us now. And Grayson, I mean, I can't imagine a better week for Baylor when it comes to retaining guys who can exercise a year of eligibility. I mean, they really, outside of, losing R.J. Sneed, everyone else, for the most part, is coming back, right? And the only one we haven't heard on is Khalil Keith. Is that correct?
No, I mean, we have confirmation from Khalil Keith. I mean, he just hasn't posted anything on Twitter. There's been articles written about him. We've posted that he's coming back. So, to my knowledge, 4 of the 5 starters for this Baylor offensive line will be back next year. And that is not including, of course, Xavier Newman, who will be moving on as he doesn't have any more eligibility remaining.
So with Keith confirmed, Grayson, and I guess just waiting his announcement whenever he chooses to do that, if he chooses to do that, obviously that's big news. But before kind of taking a look at this roster, I mean, just your sort of a week later thoughts as, the fumes from New Orleans have died down and the page is starting to turn a little bit. But, I mean, they're Big 12 champs, they're Sugar Bowl champs, and they got it done in the Big Easy. Your thoughts just on this magical season and the way it came to a close?
Yeah, I mean, it was a phenomenal season for this Baylor team. They showed really a lot of different things throughout the season as far as growth. And I think that's really important. This team was not the same team that showed up in San Marcos the first week of the season. They got better and better throughout the year. I would say a big consistent with this team was how well they played in the fourth quarter of pretty much every single game this year. They really closed games strong, and that has a lot to do with the physicality on the offensive line and defensive line, and really just the physicality in general of this team. And, that's something that is instilled from players to coaches to all the support staff. I mean, if you're going to be a physical brand of football, it's got to come from every single person that has anything to do with Baylor football. So that was really impressive to me. And to go into the Sugar Bowl and really just absolutely dominate both line of scrimmages, it was really impressive and a great way to end the season with a Sugar Bowl 12-win season. And now it's just about how can you get better and build upon that. And when you return 4 of your 5 offensive linemen for a group that was in the top 10 in rushing yards per game, that's a great start.
Grayson, who's the left guard then? I mean, that's the question they have in the offensive line, right? Who's the left guard?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think, you look across the offensive line and you feel pretty good about what they got returning. I mean, all 4 of these guys played really, really well this season, and they got more cohesive as the season went on. I know a lot of people have been asking about Gavin Byers. He's a guy who played a lot this year before eventually losing his right tackle spot to Khalil Keith. And so I think Byers could be a candidate to play guard next year, but I really do think that in the long run, it would be great for him to finally get his redshirt year and then, use 4 games this year as need be, but try to redshirt, and that way he'll be the right tackle for the last 2 seasons of his eligibility for 2023 and 2024. So I think right now my bet is that Micah Maskua will probably slide into that guard role that will be open with Xavier Newman-Johnson leaving. That is my guess right now. Obviously, a lot of freshmen coming in who could play a factor in that. But right now, I think it's probably going to be between Byers and Maskua, and I would give Maskua the edge right now.
So, Grayson, I know you got a lot of content over on the premium side of things. So if folks want like every piece of bit and information that they can possibly handle, then they need to go sign up for Sikkim 365 Premium. But in general, without spoiling all your reporting, what's been the kind of consensus you've heard from recruits and potential future players in terms of what they saw from Baylor this year? And how much does that differ from the uncertainty that you would hear from guys just kind of waiting to see what would happen during the season prior to the games kicking off in August?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job on the recruiting side of things, and they've been able to build off the momentum of the Sugar Bowl. I had a lot of quotes on the premium side from a lot of different players just talking about the culture, the trajectory of the program, the coaching, just all kinds of positives that lead you to believe that, man, a lot of these recruits are really seeing the progression that Dave Aranda had in year number 2 and are really saying this is more indicative of the Baylor program under Coach Aranda. And I think they know that there's something special building. I heard that multiple times. There's something special building at Baylor. I've heard that from a lot of recruits, and that's really important. And so that's been the overall kind of view that I've gotten from 2023 and 2024 guys. And as far as transfers go, Baylor's going to have some opportunities to take some transfers this year. And I think there's a lot of interest. A lot of guys see what they were able to do this year and kind of are trying to figure out how could I fit into that and how could I help elevate this program, while also understanding that Baylor does have some open spots available for playing time. And, they're losing some really talented guys. And so they might try to fill that with the transfer portal. And I think that's working well. They missed out on Taki Tamani, the defensive lineman out of Washington who committed to Oregon. That's a miss. Obviously, Ryan Watts committed to Texas. That was another miss. But I will say there are a lot of names, a lot of guys getting evaluated. And Baylor has shown that they do a great job recruiting the transfer portal. So I think people should feel really comfortable with where Baylor's going to go in that direction and how it could improve the overall roster.
Last year was 4 transfers that they took, which I remember at the time we just talked about it. We thought was a little bit low given what we thought their needs were, and they all 4 contributed and it worked out. What do you think the number will be this year?
Yeah, I actually think it could be more than that. I think it's probably going to be somewhere between 5 and 7. It's just the way that college football is trending these days. And yeah, Baylor didn't take a lot of, transfers last year, but a big reason for it is, if you look at their defense, they have so many veterans start for them on the defensive side. So there weren't a lot of holes to fill. Obviously they had to get to work on the offensive line with Grant Miller and Jacob Gall, and then of course Drew Estrada. But yeah, I think this year there's more holes to fill. You're talking about Jalen Petrie gone, JT Woods gone, Trell Bernard gone. There's some big spots left open. I think they could take a cornerback as well to play alongside Al Walcott since Tejada and Barnes are gone. I think they could take an offensive lineman, maybe more of a developmental offensive lineman who they feel like could add depth to the room, not necessarily be a starter. So yeah, there's still some areas to address. I think running back and wide receiver are 2 areas that they'll definitely look at as well, as they have a lot of young guys and a lot of unproven guys at both of those positions. So yeah, a lot of areas for Baylor to address in the transfer portal, I think.
Yeah, we were talking about the possibility of running back, and I thought that they would probably take a look at the portal. So you agree? Despite having Richard Reese and Jordan Jenkins and Tay McWilliams and Squirrel Williams, still think they'll look at running back.
Yeah, the problem with the running back position is, what Squirrel are we going to see? Squirrel hasn't been healthy in over a year and a half, so he's the most proven one. And there are some major question marks about what he can bring to the table. And I think one thing we know for sure is Squirrel's probably never going to be a 20-carry guy anymore. I think he's going to be more so used as essentially in the slot, more so, 5 or so carries a game. Probably not going to get up in that 20-carry realm. That's where you're going to look at Jordan Jenkins and probably Tay McWilliams as the 2 guys as you're kind of looking at. Those could probably be the 2-headed monster. Maybe Quaylen Jones fits into the equation as well. But we're talking about guys who really don't have very many proven carries, carries in big games. And I think that is a reason why you would go and say, hey, maybe we could find a running back who's very proven, a 1,000-yard rusher who we feel like can come in and give these young guys another year to grow. And maybe you get them carries, but maybe you don't give them the Abram Smith workload. You're able to give more of a workload to a proven guy, a senior, who maybe has some skins on the wall, who knows the offense well.
Grayson, final thing for you. Austin Novosad, the quarterback commit, he looks to be turning some heads down in either All-American Bowl practices, I guess. So what have you been seeing and kind of gleaming from what people have been saying about Austin Novosad?
Yeah, that's the National Combine down in San Antonio. Obviously, the All-American Bowl down there is going to happen this weekend. So he's just down there for one of the combines that they do. It's kind of an interesting one. Every year there's a lot of kids from out of state that actually go to that camp. It's very national because kids are coming down to watch the All-American Bowl as well. So yeah, it's no surprise, guys. Austin Novosad, he's a 4-star according to our rankings on Pick'em 365. I think the national rankings are going to catch up sooner rather than later. And I mean, he's a kid who can flat out throw the football. I mean, he's district MVP the last 2 seasons for a reason. He can absolutely sling it, and is a guy who fits exactly what Baylor is trying to do as far as the wide zone offense goes. And I think any offense that throws the ball a lot, and also any offense that really wants to protect the quarterback and give them time to really scan the field and make those really tough throws against 3-man fronts and against different schemes, he's a perfect fit for that because he can make every single throw if he's given the time. Now, he's not a true dual threat quarterback by any means, but he is a guy who you look at and you go, man, he's got the arm talent to make every single throw in this offense. And that's why a lot of schools are going to end up recruiting him. And that's why a lot of schools and a lot of people are talking about him right now, because honestly, a camp setting for a kid like Austin Novosad is absolutely the perfect spot for him, because you're going to get to see his ability to make all those different throws against, 7-on-7 or against 1-on-1 coverages, which really is just not very fair given his skill set.
Grayson Grunhaber, Sikkim365.com. Grayson, thanks a lot for joining us. I'm sorry I had to get you to remind me. Craig and I are in this phantom zone of doing the show in the house, and I have no, if you told me, you saying that you're on the show today was the first time I actually kind of grasped that it was Friday.
Oh, y'all are good. I figured y'all were struggling a little bit doing the Zoom or the Skype call, so no worries. That's why I just reached out, because it was a big news day. I wanted to talk a little Baylor football with the big news on the offensive line, you guys returning.
Yeah. Well, we'll appreciate it, Grayson. Thanks a lot. And coming up next here on Sikkim 365 Radio, we're going to talk Ode to Joy, our documentary that debuts next week, premieres next week, with one of the people featured in that documentary, Tweety Carter, the Baylor legend at guard. He's next. This is Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.